Alright guys, so this is round 2 of my first ever IBJJF Nogi Worlds. We're coming in after a well-fought victory in round 1, winning 3-0, and now we're on to our second opponent. So immediately as we start off, I can tell he's a wrestler just by his stance, and I later went to Instagram to confirm that theory. So my idea right now is I just want to stay standing for a little bit just to feel him out, and then as you'll see shortly, I pull guard into reverse de la Hiva and use a kiss the dragon to off balance him, and I'll use that opportunity to wrestle up. The main idea in this attack is using my collar tie hand to drop his head as I set my butt close to his ankles, and I'll use my right foot here to kick him over so my hips are completely under him, and as soon as his base is thrown off, I'm able to find an opportunity to come on top. And as a disclaimer, this is what I'm starting to learn about the Kiss the Dragon Nogi is it's not a very pretty or methodical or beautiful technique after you invert. It's just gritty, and you just need to keep the mentality of getting on top no matter what. So after a close call with the guillotine, I'm able to find my way on top and score 2 points. So my opponent right now has a really strong underhook on my leg, and he has me in half guard. So if my hips were to go directly over him, I could potentially be put in X guard and get swept. So my idea is to keep my hips off his center line and try to keep my hips back on the side that he's underhooking my leg. So by doing that, we eventually settle into half guard, and now my goal is to keep my hips away from his head and prevent him from dragging me back in X guard. To do that, I'm using my left hand to frame on his face, and my right arm here is digging for that underhook and making sure he doesn't get an underhook on me, so he's able to pull himself in a deep half. Eventually, I'm able to get my arm to the underhook position, but as soon as I do that, I make the mistake of dragging my hips over him, and he's able to use my momentum and sweep me over into side control, passing for 3 points, and sweeping for 2 points to put him up 5-2. Now things are looking really bad as I'm feeling his wrestling pressure come in, and he's holding me down in side control, and I can just feel my gut just getting caved in. Now we still have 4.5 minutes of the match, so I know there's a potential for me to get out of this and take the match back. I find that window as my left arm is able to get to the inside of his chest, and I can start turning towards my side and eventually work my way up into turtle before Granby rolling out of side control and getting back to a guard. So guys, from here, my goal, and what I believe should be many of your goals playing bottom, is to keep your opponent consistently off balance. In this scenario, I'm using my collar tie to keep his head low and pull him forward. My right leg is pushing him back as my left leg and arm are heisting his leg in the air, and one of the most important details is keeping this foot off the floor. For a more general look at this detail, notice how in this Kiss of the Dragon, I replace the ground with my hand, forcing my opponent to balance on only one leg and allowing me to attack effortlessly. Bringing this back to the match, even though my opponent was able to regain his balance on 2 feet, there was still a strong threat of instability by pinching my knee inward and using the collar tie to drag his head forward. I'll use this to startle my opponent and put us into a slowed game state. However, I have a strong advantage because I'm keeping him off balanced, and now with both of us stagnant, I'm in the driver's seat to make the next move. And by doing so, I'm able to explode first, hitting one of the most brilliant submissions of my career. One of the biggest details that you guys should take away if you're looking to replicate this move is notice how when I hip into him, my hips hit at the top of his knee, forcing his leg off the ground, and then as the leg drops below my hip line, this allows my left leg to clamp above his shoulders, holding me in the air until I'm ready to fall directly into an armbar. And so after a close match and a crazy comeback highlight, I move on to round 3 of IBJJF Nogi Worlds. If you guys are looking for more content like this, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos like these.